Once again, I'm going to lock my previous layers, go ahead and make a new layer. I'm going to zoom out so I can move to a different part of my canvas. So I'm going to move down over here. I'm going to start by making a circle onto the page, whatever color. So just leave it the gray that I had been using. And for this, I'm going to go over to my brushes panel, and I'm going to go to the move tool, or not move tool, sorry, the selection tool, and drag it into the brushes panel. And we're going to select a new brush type, and we're going to choose scatter brush, and then click OK. We're going to change all of the options to random. And then click OK. So once I've created the brush, I'm actually going to use the brush tool for this one because I'm using the brushes. So I'm just going to draw a line. And as you can see, it kind of created some random circles. So depending on the size, like to me, these are a little big and not quite what I was going for. So with this selected in the brushes panel, I'm going to go to the lines, I'm going to go to brush options, and I can start to sort of play around. So like the size previously had been at 100%. I already started playing a little bit and I made it a little bit smaller. So could try moving these a little bit. Instead of having none as the colorization, I can do tints and shades. The spacing, maybe I want the spacing to be closer together. I'm not exactly sure what this is going to do, so try moving that down a little bit too. The scatter, we'll leave it 0 for the moment, and I'll leave rotation 0 at the moment. We'll see if I want to make changes to that. And so then it's going to give me an error that says this brush is in use, and some strokes may have overridden its options. Do you want to apply the changes to existing brush strokes? So basically, I can either leave this stroke down here alone, or I can apply it to the stroke and see what happens without making a new brush stroke. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it. Oh, and that's a little more interesting to me, is that that's smaller sized, and some of them are overlapping, some of them aren't. So I'm going to dive back into it again and change the brush options once again, like the scatter. Let's see about making maybe more of a scatter and see what that does. And again, it's going to ask me, do I want to apply it or not apply it? I'm going to go ahead and apply it. And that's maybe a little too random because my line is down here, and those are all the way up here, which is a little maybe not what I was going for. So I'm going to go ahead and change the brush options once again, and maybe bring the scatter down a bit more. So before it was at 0, so I guess I don't know if that was straight in the middle or what that was. So let's try going the opposite direction. Let's see what that does. Once again, I'll go ahead and apply it, and it's throwing it below it. So that's interesting. So 0 meant that it was on the line. So I will go ahead and actually put that back at 0, and I can just type 0 into that and type 0 over here. And if I'm reading the picture correctly, this is kind of messing with it below, this is messing with it above. Rotation, I don't know, let's try putting that a little below and a little above. Let's go ahead and apply it. So I assume rotation is not going to affect a circle too much. But again, you can kind of jump in and play. You can do it a few times, right? Like kind of draw it a few times on here. Once again, I can make a new layer, move that layer below where the stuff I was working, grab a rectangle, make it a different color than what is there. So even putting it as like a lighter gray, or I could click a completely different color. So like, let's try green this time. And then selecting my brushes, holding shift, right? And once again, I can go back into the transparency. I can change the blending mode, kind of see what looks good or what it starts to do something interesting, whether it's not even good at that point. So like, okay, that's kind of blended in a little bit more, and then I can mess with the opacity once again and kind of, you know, get it to be there but not be as obvious. And then that's it, I'm done. So I'm gonna go ahead and zoom out. I need to click on that, and maybe not. Click on my artboard, maybe. Okay, there we go, and I can zoom out. And so I've got all 5 different things happening on here, or 6 rather, because these 2 end up being 2 instead of 1. And from here, I can save it. So I'm going to go ahead and go to File, do Save As. Okay, or no, sorry, just kidding. Actually, no, go ahead and do Save As, because then I can save the AI file to go back to. So I would go to my H drive, which I can't get into at the moment, but so I'll just save it to my desktop. Call it the usual last name underscore first name underscore, and you can call this texture tutorial. And it's an AI file, so I would save it, and then once I click OK on this, I can go to File, or let it do its thing first. I can go to File, Export, Export As. I've already named it. It's a JPEG. I'm going to use the artboard, so this part's going to get cut off. That's okay. And export. So make sure the majority of what you want on the page is actually on the artboard. If there's a few things falling off the edge, that's fine. Go ahead and export it. Wait for the next dialog box to pop up. Make sure the resolution is 300, click OK, and then upload the JPEG file to Google Classroom.